regard to the tax sales. But also, I'm kind of double dipping here, the old saying that I'm not really fond of, but you know, the belt and suspenders approach. That's kind of what I'm doing here. Not only were these parties served as part of the tax sale, but we're also serving them on the quiet title action that enables the land bank to sell it to a third party to show, yes, we absolutely have clear title. So those are going to be taken care of here in the new year. And with that, we're going to keep cooking. There's a lot going on, and I'm anxious to keep these properties flowing through the land bank out to third parties.
Well, great.
Thanks, Jim.
Thank you for that update. And we want to keep you busy, too. So
Yeah, thank you.
that's a good problem to have.
It is,
so.
it is.
And I appreciate
the
everything being
opportunity.
summed up this way.
Yeah.
It clarifies it quite a bit. So
And
thank
I'm
you.
gonna make sure that happens every month. And with the staff that I now have in place, you're gonna see something like this very regularly.
Good.
Thank you.
Okay. Any questions for our solicitor?
I'll be more than happy to provide you with the time as well. And it'd be nice to see how Judge Piccinini runs his courtroom as well. Thank you.
I like that idea, Paul. Maybe we need a field trip. Okay, very good. Let's go ahead and move on then to unfinished business and new business. Aaron.
All right. We have a tax exoneration in front of you, as Gene talked about, working through. This helps us. A lot of these are ones that the board approved for side lot sales last month in an effort to make sure that we're prepared and clear so we can move forward with those sales. This will eliminate, so that if you're not familiar, you don't recall, the land bank has the right by resolution to exonerate the city and county taxes. By passing the resolution, we forwarded on to the school district and for their approval to exonerate the taxes. So these are all condemnation actions by the redevelopment authority for the land bank, and with the condemnation process, and Gene can elaborate on it, without that final order we were getting years ago with the new process that Piccinini has made us go with, taxes don't get taken care of. So this helps clear up the ones that have occurred between then and the land bank taking ownership of it. And now they're tax exempt, but there's still taxes due on the property. So this just cleans them up so we can convey them.
Same process we went through last year, right?
Yep.
At this point. So.
Yeah, same one we go through at least,
Yep.
at least 2 or 3 times a year.
I didn't see anything out of the ordinary, unless we have any questions.
Just a comment. Aaron, I mentioned this to Chris before the meeting. I think it would be beneficial at some point for you or maybe Chris to go to the school board and do like a quick presentation. When these do come to the school board, we do sometimes have questions from board members who feel like we're giving up tax revenue. Mm-hmm. And so, I do my best, the superintendent also does, but I think it just would be a good practice maybe to get in front of them and just remind them, here's what's happening. You're not really losing any revenue here. This is why we need you to do that. So just a suggestion, maybe that's, every couple years when you have a new batch of school board members elected. But I think it just would help stave off any confusion in the future.
That's a good point. I agree and appreciate that. Thanks, Dory.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea, and I'd be willing to attend that meeting, or if you want to just tackle that yourself, but we can coordinate that.
Yeah,
so.
I'll get something. I'll reach out.
But regarding this request, I don't have any questions, unless the panel does. Okay. All right, seek a motion to approve the exoneration.
I'll move it.
Thank you. Is there a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
Okay, passes. All right, Aaron, demolition grant program.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is one that kind of excited about. It's something that Kendra had, we worked on the fair grant applications, and we put together an application for fair funds for this same program. we really didn't put much more than putting together that application and sending it in. But a lot of times it comes down to, well, what is the need? What's the data showing? We can ask the code enforcement officers all day long. We can talk to Kendra and Holly and everyone else who works in rehab, about falling down accessory structures. A lot of times, we go out and we can address the residents with funds to rehabilitate it, but we stare at a garage that's falling down in the backyard, and there's essentially no resources available for an individual. And it goes down to a lot of all of the social impacts and all that stuff with people living in a structure that they don't want to look in their backyard because the garage is falling in. So when we were putting together a land bank budget, we kind of had $25,000 that, when April and I were going through, we didn't really have a place for it. And I thought, well, I'll put it in demolition, in thoughts that, would kind of float by a pilot program for this grant, allocate that $25,000 for this grant for us to put out for residents to basically apply for funding for us to go in and demolish their garage. It's blight by all means of definition, and it's something that literally scatters the city of Erie. I don't think there's a neighborhood across the city of Erie that you don't drive through and see some garage in the back of somebody's house that's falling down. And the only reason it's still there is because they don't have the spare funding to put into demolishing it. So my thought process behind this is really, it's in front of the board today to kind of walk through some of the, the eligibility requirements and things like that, and put some thoughts to what we've presented to you today. But to roll this out as a pilot in hopes to generate the data that we can go after some other funders to bring the funding in. Because like I said, the federal funds won't allow us to touch accessory structures. State funds won't allow us to touch accessory structures. So the land bank funding and any other unrestricted funding would be our only means of facilitating this program long term. So fair funds is a possibility, but there's a tremendous reach for that this year, so that's a long shot. So I'll stop talking and open it up for the board. Any thoughts, reviews? Yeah.
So we have 25,000 set aside.
Kendra, your pictures. Yeah, there's $25,000 set aside in the demolition line item of the land bank budget. So.
Yeah, and we're hoping to use that as a match, or what? How much do we think we're going to have in the pot for this before we roll it out?
$25,000
Total.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, there is the possibility that we get later on in the year, we could reallocate some funding that was not utilized within the budget. But right now, I would say all we have is $25,000 at this point. So, and we kind of broke it up into some match requirement based upon different income levels. Again, trying to fulfill a complete need and not focusing on low to mod, but also giving it some variable that people of different income levels would just have a different grant associated with the program. So. Again, it's something that there's never been a program like it. We don't have a lot of data for it. So there's a perceived need, and where that goes, we don't know. We could end up with 2 apps, or we could end up with 300 applications. I don't really know.
And that's open to all residents in the city of Erie?
Yes.
For probably maybe just 5 demolitions, if it's 5,000?
Yeah. I mean, so it'd be...
Yeah, that's my worry about oversubscribing,
Yeah, I mean, I would love to. I mean, I can give it some time, and I can always go to the county land. That's kind of where we're always at. It's hard to go to the county land bank board and ask them to allocate fund balance to a program that I don't know what the actual need is. So it's kind of the spot where I'm at. Is I don't know a need.
But you probably could identify a need just even visually, right? I mean, to your point, or, think about a place where these are in high density and, maybe only offering it there. I'm just thinking if you see these structures that much around the city, I wonder how difficult it would be to identify the need. Just so we knew before we did this, like you said, are we going to get 500 applications for $25,000? Then what do we do?
Oh, yeah. No, and I mean, just in walking the East Bayfront Greenway Trail area, through those alleyways, and we were out with groundwork before Thanksgiving, spoke to a homeowner, and standing there, you look in his backyard, he's got a 2-car garage with the roof's completely missing. And, we're like, would you like to get that demolished? He said, I'd love to get it demolished if I had the funding. So there's the need, and I mean, it's there. Yeah.
I mean, I love this idea.
So I have a question, if I may.
Oh, go ahead, Chuck.
If you can hear, I apologize, my audio isn't a great connection. But I was wondering why the land bank and not the redevelopment authority to carry out this activity.
Say that again, Chuck?
I apologize for the audio connection, it's not good, and maybe this was already answered. But I wonder why the land bank to carry out, which is, I think the program's great, it's just I wonder why the land bank to carry out the program as opposed to the redevelopment authority.
Land Bank, because would be utilizing Erie County Land Bank funds as part of the allocation from them and gaming revenue that are unrestricted and not tied to federal sources.
I see, okay, thank you for the clarification. I'm fine, great program.
Aaron, do you think there's a possibility that the 25,000 we have could serve as a match to some other source out there? So that we could have a little bit larger bucket, or?
No, currently FAIR is the only one that we have identified. I know after the first of the year, Tracy's gonna have some conversations with some of the financial institutions in town to see if there's the possibility of getting any funding there toward it. Again, it's funding that we have to look at that's not tied to any federal requirement. That's what makes it very difficult, and that's, I mean, essentially that's why we're staring at these garages for so long. And Deb knows we can't touch garages.
Do you at least have a sense of how many code enforcement violations have been served on these accessory dwelling or these accessory units?
We reached out, but that data is limited with the old software in code enforcement.
Because that would be helpful, right? I mean, that
Yes.
would be one way.
Yeah, well, I mean, we could certainly get testimonials from the code enforcement officers because they're experienced with citing or noticing individuals for accessory structures,
But they can't tell you how many violations they've specifically given on this issue.
no.
I mean, I get your point. It's important to test something, right? I mean, we have to see how it would, you're creating a tool, we have to see how it's gonna work.
Mhm.
I just don't wanna create an expectation with the public that there's this great new program and go down to City Hall and apply for it.
There's no money.
And we will probably have at least 100 applications and have enough to fund 5 of them. So
Yeah.
that's my concern, and I don't know if we can get around that, or if, I don't, that's my concern. I'm not quite sure if we're ready to, I think I want to think about this a little bit more myself, because we put this out there, and I don't want to create disappointment.
To your point about a match, though, could we offer it to a neighborhood organization to say, instead of offering it individually to the public, we're going to offer it out to one of the neighborhood organizations who has the money to match it, and then it can be used within that neighborhood, obviously, and then we see how it works, but at least might be concentrated, show the impact, get more private dollars, you know?
Yeah,
Just a thought,
that's a thought.
rather than, to your point, opening it up and having 100 people.
I'd like to take a month to see if there's any possibility that this could be used as a match for some pot of funds. So maybe we can start a slightly larger program in the new year. And then it's the outline that you provided, that's a different discussion, you know, should we even have landlords in there? I made a note of that. I like the idea, and I would like to see this happen, but let's try to maybe secure a little more capital
Okay.
before we roll this out.
Yeah, can kind of explore that and see what the possibilities are, and,
Yeah.
reach out to a
I mean,
couple
even if we
neighborhood
could get
groups
it,
and
even if
see.
we could double it to 50, then at least we could say, well, we're gonna tackle 10, and that's a good pilot. That's a good size for a pilot. And then, you know, if we show success, we'll try to hunt down a grant or something from some source.
Right,
Um,
okay. Yeah, I'll reach out, I can, I'll work with the county land bank and see as well, and reach out to some of the neighborhood groups off Daria's suggestion and see what else there is out there and what we could do, so we can float it by. It's something really, like I said, we put it in the fair application, it's something that I know is a need, and, you know, as we try to address blight, you know, it's a big step forward, I think, so.
Well, yeah, let's revisit this in January and hope that
Okay.
we can get something going early in the year, because I like it, and we need it, so. So I guess at this point, we're not gonna, we'll just hold off. We're not gonna take-
Okay, no, that's fair.
All right. Any other business?
That is all I have. I wish the entire board a Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays and Happy New Year. Yeah, thank you for your service this year and appreciate the support.
Absolutely, thank you. And a couple quick notes before we wrap up today. Our colleague Dario will be stepping down from our board here. This is her last meeting after 2 years, so I want to thank you for your participation and your ideas, and we'll miss having you here. School board will be, we'll have another representative in the new year on our panel, and so thank you.
Thank you.
And then I'd like to echo what Aaron just said, to wish everybody a very happy and safe holiday. Thank you for all the hard work this year. We've done quite a bit in 2024, and I'm looking forward to another great year next year. So with that, if there are no other questions or comments, I believe we're adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.